I feel like this album is going to really show us kind of her side of the story and what maybe the last 2 years of the relationship looked like. Am I too stupid for this album?
Do something, babe, say something.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Molly. If you're new here, I make pop culture YouTube videos. If you're not new here, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Today we have a really fun episode planned. I am going to be sharing my thoughts, my predictions, just everything I know so far about Taylor Swift's new album, The Tortured Poets Department, and kind of what I think like we're gonna see and just my predictions so that maybe, you know, when the album does come out, I can look back at this and see how much of a clown I was. So when I was watching the Grammys, I was like, oh my gosh, if she's going to announce anything, it's going to be Reputation, Taylor's version. But honestly, I was like, if we're going to get something, it's going to be that. I honestly didn't even think she was going to announce anything because I was like, it's the Grammys. I feel like people don't usually do that at the Grammys. It's more of like a higher scale award show. I was like, okay, she is going to announce it her first night in Tokyo. That was, you know, days later. We clowned. We didn't get Reputation Taylor's version, so I was kind of right about that. But we got the announcement for a whole new album, a whole new collection of songs. My jaw dropped to the floor.
I am a little very gagged.
I was so shocked. It was not Reputation. She was sitting there laughing at us in her head. I don't know, if I was her, I don't think I'd be able to keep a secret like that. She purposefully made us think Reputation was next. Because also I'm sitting here and I'm like, how does homegirl have enough hours in the day to have a boyfriend that plays for the Chiefs, re-release all of her albums, go on a world tour, promote all of the albums that she has released over the tour, release a whole new album full of like 16 or 17 songs. It's honestly wild. Let's go through the track list, my initial predictions, because I think this is going to cause a whole storm of just like stuff with Joe Alwyn. So she won her 13th Grammy, and we all know she thinks about just these little things that connect everything together. She is a mastermind. But she won her 13th Grammy. She went up there. She looked very like, you know, and she's like, I've been keeping a secret for 2 years. I have a new album coming out. It's called The Tortured Poets Department, and it comes out like April 19th. I'm gonna go post the cover on my Instagram like right now, backstage. It looked like everyone in the crowd was like, oh my gosh, wow. But I don't even feel like these people are her peers anymore. I feel like she is just this whole other level of artistry, and it's actually wild. Lo and behold, I literally look at my phone during the Grammys like 30 seconds later and the album artwork was posted. It wasn't black and white. So I think it's very interesting that like leading up to it, everyone's like, oh my gosh, she changed her profile picture the day of the Grammys to a black and white photo of her like Midnight's album cover. If you really looked at that album cover, you could see that it wasn't really black and white. It kind of had a sepia tone to it, a little bit more brown and white than black. It just didn't look like Reputation black and white. But I still was like, oh yeah, Reputation's coming. But looking back, I'm like, I really should have suspected something else was up because it wasn't really purely black and white. So she releases the album cover. It's that same kind of like black and white, but a little bit like less contrasty, I would say. The style it's giving me is like something we would see from Folklore or Evermore. That like singer-songwriter indie type of vibe is what I'm initially thinking. But I'm also hoping that this is something that is very different than those two albums. Like I'm really hoping that this is something that is going to bring us a whole new sound and vibe with Taylor. I know she's running out, but that would be very nice to just see her like in a different kind of, I guess, vibe. So I'm kind of hoping for something, I don't want to say super poppy, but maybe something more, I don't know. I think it is going to probably relate to Folklore and Evermore the most, but maybe instead of indie, it has more heavy pop to it. I don't know. It's really hard to pinpoint the kind of sound that I want her to do, or at least say it in words. It's giving us 16 songs, 17 if you include the bonus track, the manuscript. The cover art that she posted is giving very much like Tumblr era. It's giving I Hang Out with Lana Del Rey now. Her album title is the longest we've ever seen her have an album title. That's also giving I Hang Out with Lana Del Rey now. And then in the second slide of the album cover, it has like a little note from her, and it says, "And so I enter into evidence, my tarnished coat of arms, my muses acquired like bruises, my talismans and charms, the tick, tick, tick of love bombs, my veins of pitch black ink, all's fair in love and poetry, sincerely the chairman of the Tortured Poets Department. Initially, I'm like, am I going to be literally too dumb for this album? Like, not even like days, maybe like a couple days after the Grammys announcement happened, she dropped the track list already. I heard that apparently like the track list got leaked online. So that's probably why she did that, because she wants to beat everyone else to the punch. She wants to be the one that announces it. Totally understandable. But looking at the track list, I'm like, jaw drop to the floor. Maybe it's going to be like a collaboration with like, I don't know, Phoebe Bridgers, and it's going to be a collection of songs and featured artists because it's a department, you know? But there's only 2 features. That is Post Malone and Florence and the Machine. I love them so much separately, but you have to admit it's a kind of an odd combo. Now, if you start to think about the fact that Post Malone is gearing more into like a country type of sound, I could see how that could definitely like merge into maybe this sound that she's going to present us. But it's going to be really interesting because I think, like Taylor, Post Malone could go so many different ways with his music. That's probably the one I'm one of the most excited for. And that starts us off with our track list. Number 1 being Fortnight. And when I initially saw track list number 1 and saw Fortnight, I was like, is this the video game? Like, I'm pretty sure my 6-year-old nephew plays this game, but it's not. And this is me tying back into the fact that like, am I too stupid for this album? And we'll figure that out. I'm going to do a reaction video to when this drops because how could I not? And we'll really decide then, am I too stupid for this album? So yeah, Fortnight is apparently like a British word that means like 2 weeks. So tying back to Joe Alwyn, the London boy, it makes sense. Like, okay, but also initially track 1, pinpointing meaning of this album, Joe Alwyn. So I really think that this album is going to show us a huge glimpse into what happened. And I think when we got Midnights is a great album, but it is very much all over the place. And it leaves you wanting more, it leaves you having more questions and having questions answered, I feel like. I feel like this album is going to really show us kind of her side of the story and what maybe the last 2 years of the relationship looked like. Because if she recorded this or she started on this album the last 2 years, this is her, I feel like, at the end of that relationship. The same time around You're Losing Me was written. As we know, that was 2021. She still had a good amount of her relationship left, but I really feel like the end of the relationship was her like really trying to put everything into it not working. And that's what developed this album. That's my thoughts. We have Fortnight as number 1, and then track 2 is the Tortured Poets Department. So we have the title track of the album. And I guess I should mention, which I think everyone knows this by now, but apparently Joe Alwyn was in a group chat with like 2 of his guy friends, and it was called the Tortured Man Club. So obviously, given that that's the title of the album, this whole album, I think, is going to be some bullets towards Joe Alwyn and maybe that relationship.
And yes, there will be some casualties. Yes, there will.
Track 3 is My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys. So her being his favorite toy, kind of in a weird, okay, I'm his favorite, that's why he broke my heart type of way. I feel like this could be maybe one of the sadder songs on the album, is my prediction. Track 4 is Down Bad. This is very much giving, I'm a millennial and I'm trying to bring in these slang terms that the younger kids use. I mean, I'm literally reading through all of these tracks and I'm like, these could all be tied to their relationship. She's down bad for him. He has her around his finger. She's doing everything she can to be with him. She's down bad. That's how I see it. Then we have track number 5, So Long London. We went from London Boy to So Long London, if that's not the saddest thing ever. Obviously, this is probably about like her leaving that part of her life behind. So Long London. I mean, she really spent so much time there with him. That place is probably somewhere that she's never going to be able to like forget those feelings she had when she was there. Track 6 is But Daddy, I Love Him. I don't like the use of the word daddy. I will say that left a bad taste on my tongue.
Ew.
However, this is giving very much like The Notebook.
Daddy, I love him. I love him.
like your classic romantic film. It's giving a forbidden love. So I'm thinking this is more like, I know you have your opinions, but I love him and that should trump all of it, right? Next one is Fresh Out the Slammer. I don't really know what to think about this. It's definitely giving me the same vibe as like Nobody, No Crime. So I wonder if it's something like that, her imagining a situation, more of like a creative story. And then we have Florida, 3 exclamation points. She's really been into using punctuation lately. We saw that with Slut. She's very much been playing around with just like the way she's like forming her titles on her songs, which I don't mind. I think it's a fun way to like differentiate her songs versus maybe others that have the same type of name. But this one is featuring Florence and the Machine. And what we do know about this is that her first show back after their breakup announcement was launched, her first show back on the Eras tour was in Tampa, Florida. So, I mean, it has to be something along the lines of maybe like how she was feeling in Florida while she was doing those shows. This one, I'm really excited to just see what kind of vibe it is. With Florence and the Machine, I feel like it could be kind of like a more upbeat vibe, or it could be a very sad vibe. When you see the exclamation points, you want to think like, oh, it's going to be like, you know, upbeat and everything. But like, we thought that was Slut. And we did not get that. So that one's also kind of a question to me. I don't have any like concrete predictions for that song. And then we have Guilty as Sin, ? Again, loving the punctuation. Maybe in this song, she's like, did I put myself in this situation with Joe? Am I guilty because I didn't see the warning signs? Some people, when they get out of a relationship, they're like, do I even deserve to be upset about it because of just like how it went down or how it ended? And while I'm going through these tracks, I'm realizing that it is in order of like just how things went down. The end of the relationship to getting out of the relationship and then post-breakup feelings. The next one is Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? ? Another punctuation. I want to say this is maybe something relating to her career. Who's afraid of little old me? Like, I'm just a girl.
I'm also just a girl.
But really, she's like one of the most powerful people on the planet, just like in terms of the power that she could bring to any situation, to be honest. So maybe it's a play with that. So maybe it's more of a tied to just like herself and her image. And then we have I Can Fix Him, in parentheses, no, really I can. And I think this song sounds fun. Okay, I have 2 predictions for this song. She's either like, I can fix Joe, and then obviously she can't. Somebody else pointed out that this could be maybe something towards Maddie Healy, because the 1975 has a lot of songs that have parentheses in their titles. And she is a mastermind, as we know. So that could be something tied to Maddie Healy, maybe like because he's very problematic with the things he has said. Maybe during their little fling, she was like, well, I could fix him. Obviously, she couldn't. So that's my prediction with that. I think it might be something tied to maybe a combination of her relationship with Joe and then maybe Maddie Healy. LMOL, Love of My Life, or loml. It's also giving very much millennial, trying to relate to the younger audience, maybe. Yeah, this one has me in questions too, because Love of My Life, I don't know. Could this be about Travis Kelce? Maybe she wrote this during the beginning stages of their relationship and she's like, wow, we really connect. We'll have to see with that one. Then we have I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Obviously, when I saw this title track, I'm like, okay, she can do this to her. She can do her career. She can do all the things she needs to do to continue the success of her career while she is dealing with the broken heart of being broken up from Joe Alwyn. Kind of my prediction on what I think this song would be. We have The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. If that's not like a stab at Joe Alwyn, I don't know what is. I think that this is going to be about her reflecting on Joe Alwyn and like maybe he's not physically but emotionally he is the smallest man that ever lived because he doesn't know how to deal with his emotions. Maybe it's something along those lines. And then we have The Alchemy, and this goes back to, am I too stupid for this album? Alchemy means the medieval forerunner of chemistry, based on the supposed transformation of matter. See, this is what I mean. Spiritual alchemy is the act of inner transformation. So maybe it could be something she's looking at from a spiritual standpoint. She's healing herself post-breakup, maybe. getting back into doing the things that she wants to do, not just following whatever he wants to do for his reasons. And then we have Clara Bow. Apparently Clara Bow was like one of the biggest it girls in the beginning of like Hollywood. I'm assuming that this is more of like a kind of gives like the lucky one type of feel, looking at Clara Bow and maybe relating her fame and her experiences to this person that was one of the biggest it girls in her time too. So I think that'll be a fun one and just more of a something like a unique type of song from Taylor. And then we have the bonus track, and that is the manuscript. This one does tie into like the Tortured Poets Department type of theme. And while I'm like looking at this, I'm thinking about like when we got Midnights, how we were like, okay, this is Midnight. And then it was like, oh, 3 a.m. edition, Till Dawn edition. And then we ended up getting like Hits Different and all these bonus tracks that she ended up kind of adding on after the initial release. So I wonder if she's going to do something like that again. There's just so many songs already, but honestly, Midnights was stacked too. And we just kept getting more songs. So that'll be interesting to just see like how the promo looks for this album. She does have a break during the month of this release. So I wonder if she's going to do any promo. We really didn't get any like traditional promo for Midnights. We got the Eras tour, which don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but we didn't get any like sit down interviews or explanations on like what Midnights is and the kind of music and like just kind of more like backtracking on like what each song means. Like I said, Midnights gave us a lot of like more questions and answers. So this one will be interesting to see like, do we get any of those answers, or is it going to be something like Midnights where we're just trying to tie things together and make up our own conspiracies? At the same time, I am concerned. I hope that like a lot of Taylor Swift Swifties, fans, I hope they don't like attack him, because that would be a little crazy. Because obviously we saw what happened with like Jake Gyllenhaal and how she had to say something about John Mayer before Speak Now TV came out. Definitely don't do that. But I think this album will give us a lot of answers as to what happened with the relationship, how she's feeling now, maybe like her experiences while dealing with the breakup while she was on a world tour. So I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see like how soon we're gonna get Rep TV and Debut TV, because I'm really excited for both of those. Just wondering like, will we get those both by the end of the year? I think we will, but we'll just have to see. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about her announcing this new album. What are your predictions? I feel like I'm really still processing it as I'm recording this, but I'm also just really excited to see like what it sounds like. It'll be here before we know it. So are you claiming any tracks right now? Yeah, I would love to hear from you guys. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. And also subscribe so you can get more content from me. Also, follow me on Instagram. That is where I'm probably the most active. It's at Molly with an IE, Jean Thompson. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Bye.